Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today in here. Today, I'll be presenting on Quality Area 6, Collaborative Partnerships with Families and Communities from the National Quality Standard. I'm presenting this on my own because I wasn't able to form a group, but I have done the full research myself and I'm happy to share what I've learned. I chose this quality area because I have noticed that when families and educators work together, children feel more safe, confident, and connected. These partnerships makes a big difference in children's learning and well-being. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, the video got stuck. Sorry about that. As shown in the presentation, partnerships between families, teachers, and communities are important as children learn best when they all work together, especially with the application of the National Quality Standard, Quality Area 6. Everyone plays a very vital role in the learning part of child. We will also discuss the issues and suggestions of how to create inclusive, culturally responsive partnerships. Now, we are going to explore the reasons as to why such partnerships are so crucial to the development of children. Moving on to our next segment, which is, sorry, my laptop is a bit stuck. I don't really know what's happening. Yeah, there we go. Importance of collaborative partnerships in early childhood education. Partnering and collaborating are very important towards helping children grow. They support children's development. They assist in enhancing social, emotional, and cognitive abilities. Children also feel more important, confident, and secure at home and in school when the families are involved. It makes children do better socially, emotionally, and academically. Partnerships help children feel like they belong. The partnerships also boost the self-esteem of a child and his or her identity. As when the children see their cultures, languages are welcomed. They see themselves reflected in the learning environment. It also helps in inclusive learning for children who belong from various cultures, emotions, and society. In the end, they are associated with improved academic and social results. As research revealed, only under the condition of educators, adapting to the cultural backgrounds of children and their family conditions, a truly inclusive learning environment can be created. So that was the importance of collaborative partnership in early childhood education. And now moving on to our next slide, which would be models of effective collaborative partnerships. Now we are going to consider two models that can create effective collaborations. There are a couple of models of partnership which helps us understand how educators and families can work better together. The first is partnerships in practice model that emphasizes on the joint responsibility of families and educators towards the child learning and development. This model encourages trust, respect, and open communication, and it enhances a very good relationship between the two parties involved. The second one is the CAFE. This model emphasizes on trust, communication, and shared decision making between families and educators. This model promotes an open participatory atmosphere to all and encourages shared decision making and participate in various planning, discussing, and shaping events. Such models provide a strong base on which meaningful interaction in early childhood environments can be realized. For example, there is a particular community called Gundit Zamara. It is a very good example of successful partnership in one community in Victoria, where Aboriginal elders actively participate in early childhood programs. They exchange cultural information and assist in the establishment of trust among the families and educators so that the children are engulfed with their cultural background. When elders are involved and cultural knowledge is valued, the families feel respected and it creates an environment for children to thrive. It helps boost children' confidence and aids in tending to their pride, which helps them build strong identities. It is an excellent example of how partnerships could contribute to the enrichment of educational experiences, particularly in case of the presence of culturally responsive practices. Now, moving on to our next slide, which is cultural and contextual consideration. Sorry, my laptop is getting a bit slow. That's why it's taking a tad second to get onto a new slide. Sorry about that. Anyway, cultural and contextual consideration. Going forward, the importance of cultural responsiveness in the development of effective alliances needs to be emphasized. This is particularly applicable to the Aboriginal families. The elders are very important in imparting cultural knowledge and traditions and the participation that they have in early childhood services, which will promote respect and trust. Regrettably, past matters such as stolen generations have established obstacles to a relationship such that establishing real trust is important. Cultural sensitivity guarantees the inclusion of all children within the school and makes them feel valued in their educational setting. So these are the stuffs that we need to consider in cultural and contextual space. Moving on to our next slide, which is slide 6, and it's gaps in literature and leadership. Although the results of such partnerships are positive, there are certain gaps in the existing literature. As an example, such current models such as CAFE, that was a CAFE, lack the strategies of reaching indigenous families or identifying the barriers they may have in common. Also, not all model is focused on culturally sensitive approaches, and this causes a worldwide solution, which is not always effective. As every family does not have the same access, the comfort level, or the same trust. Another leadership gap is that there is a lack of research regarding how leaders can promote culturally responsive practices and how they can engage when engaging with families from diverse backgrounds. There is also lack of training for leaders and how leaders training ought to be modified to encompass family involvement and cultural inclusivity, as not all leaders or educators have received proper training on various cultural competence, Aboriginal perspectives, and communication. Elders are also not always involved in leadership development as they can help guide educators and center to be more inclusive. That was the gaps in literature and leadership. Moving on to our next slide, which is recommendations and future research. To improve the partnership, there are a few things that we can do. First of all, a better organized study of the effective approaches to the indigenous families and overcoming the cultural barriers should be made. There need to be more specific guidelines for working with indigenous families. It also needs to be more effective in its model of integrating cultural sensitivity in family partnerships models, as leaders play a vital role in setting expectations and modeling respectful communication while creating a welcoming environment. Lastly, leadership training should also be enhanced in order to assist educators in the competencies they need in approaching different families. Elders' involvement should also be increased, not just in cultural programs, but also in professional learning for educators. Community programs where families can come together and voice themselves in decision making, planning, and evaluation should be conducted more and often. This will help in empowering the collaboration, partnerships, and improving the learning outcomes of all children. Now, moving on to our next slide, which is conclusions. It's taking a bit time. Yeah, sorry. Lastly, early childhood education basically includes collaborative partnerships. It is not just framework or policies for that matter, but are real relationships that are built over time. It will be possible to establish the conditions that encourage children to grow and develop through the collaboration of families, educators, and communities by ensuring that they work together. However, we are obliged to be culturally sensitive and leadership in such alliances. When partnership flourishes, children grow up seeing adults in their life are united and are in harmony. They feel valued, they feel safe, and they feel sense of belonging. The better strategies and additional research will allow us to make these alliances more accommodative, respectful, and efficient. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any questions you can have. And thank you for so much for listening. That was the end of my presentation. I'm just waiting on my slide, and these are the references. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry, the my laptop was a bit slow, so the slides kept on getting stuck at times, but sorry about that. Thank you so much. Have a great day.